Hello everyone, welcome back to the best place for the best takes. I'm Benjamin Cure. This is the Benjamin Cure Show. Welcome back everyone. Today is Monday, March 20th. It's also the first official day of spring, and I, as a Miamian, could certainly feel the heat over the weekend. I spent Saturday at one of our beautiful beaches, and public perception may be nationally, how could you possibly enjoy the beach? All the headlines, the spring breakers, the college students who are down here who are on break currently, and honestly, us South Floridians, we've got some well-hidden gems, some well-kept secrets, and some more secluded spots that we like to keep to ourselves. And I was enjoying one of those beaches. And so I had a tremendous time. Also enjoyed the sporting action over the weekend. UFC 286, an amazing card in London. Great environment. Certainly enjoyed that. March Madness basketball, we are in the thick of it right now. I was switching back and forth between the channels this weekend, watching all of those games. It's hard to keep up with, but I did see some of the bigger upsets over the weekend. A lot of fun. And then, of course, in my own backyard, the World Baseball Classic, some of the biggest events taking place at Lone Depot Park in South Florida. So, really quickly, this is not going to be the opening story, but I do want to touch upon this. The World Baseball Classic proved, if anything, that South Florida's baseball fans and the baseball culture are alive and well. We still have plenty of fans who love baseball, but you can't expect, as a Major League Baseball team based in South Florida, you can't expect to build a subpar team, to not spend money in free agency, to not be aggressive when the other big market teams are, and then double and triple your ticket prices, and then expect fans to roll out the red carpet for your franchise and pack in your stadiums and be loving and engaged and passionate about their team, because there's nothing to be passionate about. And I've talked about this before in the show. Of course, I'm talking about the Miami Marlins. That will be a story for another day, because believe me, we're going to get to it, especially as baseball season rolls around and we start seeing some of the ratings and attendance numbers coming in. But I want to pivot here and open up with our first story having to do with the sports market, specifically the NFL offseason market, and in particular, the running back market. So in 2021, I was already looking at the running back free agents that we would see hit the market this offseason. Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley were at the top of that list. They were at the top of that conversation at the time. And Saquon, I believe, had already suffered his first major injury in the NFL, so he was not seen quite as badly as he was this past offseason, but people were kind of down on him. Josh Jacobs had a promising start, I believe, already. So we knew that these running back free agents, they were going to hit the market and they were going to get paid, whether they were good or subpar, because traditionally the NFL still embraces their running backs, or at least we thought they would. And some desperate franchise would give these guys a contract, even if they weren't necessarily at the top echelon of the position. And so in August of 2021, just a couple months ago, I looked back at that list. And this list now had Tony Pollard and Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley and a couple other names on it. And I thought to myself, people were really down on Saquon this offseason. Josh Jacobs, people were down on him as well. Tony Pollard, he showed signs of promise, but I don't think anybody was as high on him as he ended up being. I certainly didn't, I thought he was a formidable running back. I didn't think he would be as good as he was this past season. But nonetheless, I thought these guys were going to get paid, because traditionally there's always a desperate or dysfunctional franchise that is willing to pay or overpay for a position that's not necessary to winning, because they just don't know how to properly run an organization. Some of these desperate bottom tier teams that are picking first in the NFL draft in the top 10 picks, who just can't get it right. And this NFL offseason has hit, and the running back free agency market is like a hiker in the Himalayas who is taking an expedition on Mount Everest. It is cold. It is unforgiving. There is very to little positive action going on. It's awful. And it's a little bit shocking for some people who, like myself, I expected some more action, some more heat, some more big market moves, honestly, and that has been anything but. I'm going to go over these names really quickly here. I'm going to review the list of free agency running backs and what we've seen this offseason Saquon Barkley, franchise tagged. Josh Jacobs, franchise tagged. Tony Pollard, franchise tagged. Ezekiel Elliott, released from the Cowboys. Leonard Fournette, released from the Cowboys. Derrick Henry being shopped by the Titans. We heard once again over the combine time. And who else? Austin Eckler for the Chargers. The Chargers told Austin Eckler and his agent, the Chargers gave Austin Eckler and his agent permission to seek a trade. I mean, the whole market that I thought we'd see contracts totaling, in terms of total value, I thought we'd see over $80 million worth of contracts, maybe 30, a little bit underneath $40 million in total contract value for some of these bigger names. I mean, it is not a good time to be a running back in the NFL, and you can't help but feel for the guys like B. John Robinson who are in the draft, who are coming in, and right now the NFL is a very cold and desolate environment for these running backs, and it shows you where the league is headed. And at the end of the day, this sends a clear message to every player out there, every agent, and every running back. The NFL is afraid to pay a star running back. They want nothing to do with the big contracts, with the big cap hits, because we have come to learn and accept, it seems, as a community, as the NFL, running backs, even the best ones, only have about 1,500 to 2,000 great carries in them. That position gets very old very quick. The knees wear out, the injuries pile up, the contact is unforgiving. The NFL and GMs, they're terrified to go all in on a running back because we've seen in recent years, in order to win, you do not need a running back in 2023 in this era of football. I mean, the last couple Super Bowl winners have had rushing attacks that are not in the top 5, are not in the top 10. I believe the best one recently was ranked in the top 14. It's not an essential thing for a Super Bowl winning team to have. I mean, running back is not one of the things that you want to check off your checklist in the offseason if you're trying to build a Super Bowl roster. It should not be your primary concern. Quarterback, wide receiver, left tackle, an elite corner, an elite pass rusher. Running back is pretty far down that list, and it seems like the NFL has grown very accepting of that. And I can't believe that even for a guy like Austin Eckler, who I thought, maybe they'll work out a team-friendly deal because he's been so effective for the Chargers. He was so important, and he was a great key, an important key in the Chargers' offensive success with Justin Herbert. And because he was a pass catcher, he could get involved in the aerial attack, and now we're seeing front offices, general managers as a whole want nothing to do with these big running back contracts. And you know what? It shows the growth of the league. And as much as I hate to say it, I think football fans, we all have a little bit of a sentimental feel directed towards these running backs, because especially younger fans, we one of the first positions that we loved in video games like Madden was our running back. At the start of every season, when you were starting a new team in franchise mode, you'd want to head to the auction house and buy an elite running back. In fantasy football, as adults and as older fans, one of the first positions, if not the first position that we draft in the majority of leagues, is running back. We love their show-stopping nature. We love what they bring to the table. We love to emulate them in video games, but they're not essential to winning and a winning culture in 2023. Quarterbacks are, pass rushers are, weapons are, not running backs. You can have a couple different ones on your roster. You don't have to pay them a lot. You can have a running back by committee and still succeed. The NFL has changed, and this running back market in 2023, or the lack thereof, is showing you just that. So on Sunday, one of the free agency moves that I had been tracking this offseason went through. And Adam Thielen is now a Carolina Panther. On Sunday afternoon, he signed with them. The contract is 3 years, $25 million, $14 million of that being guaranteed. I believe the biggest cap hit is this year. It's like $10 million. And then his average annual salary is around 8.3. So I talked about Adam Thielen last week on the show because I thought he would be one of the better fits for Aaron Rodgers if he left to the Jets, which now a week later we can say is official. Aaron Rodgers will be a Jet, and I will be addressing that whole story in my next segment. So stick around, hold on just a little bit, because I do want to get through this Panthers news. because the Panthers this offseason are quietly becoming a well-run organization. I really do believe that. They signed Adam Thielen. They didn't overpay him. They now have a nice, solid weapon who will be available for their young quarterback. He was one of the healthiest wide receivers on the market this past offseason, as a matter of fact. When you look at his stats, he played 17 games in 2022, and in that stretch, he had 716 yards, 70 catches, 6 touchdowns. That's pretty formidable and important. They did not overpay for him. So Adam Thielen is now on the Panthers. Frank Reich is the head coach of the Panthers. Frank Reich, former quarterback in the NFL, he's widely considered as a head coach to be a quarterback whisperer. Almost every quarterback that he's ever coached has had a better season than their previous outing, and that's important. So Frank Reich is going to be picking a quarterback with the first overall pick in this upcoming draft. That's important. He's going to get to mold whoever he believes is the best fit for him and his team and his offense. And now he's got a formidable weapon. Although they got rid of DJ Moore, they are supporting their quarterback. I see that for next season, 2023, the Panthers are projected to have a offensive line that ranks between 13th and 16th. Nothing to write home about, but a formidable middle-of-the-pack offensive line. They also added Miles Sanders last week, a running back that can be formidable for them, that can be a good talent. They didn't overpay him either, which I love. He's now going to join Chuba Hubbard in the backfield. He's probably, Miles Sanders, when I say he's probably going to be the goal line back, the short yardage back, if I had to assume. The Panthers, their owner, David Tepper, is one of the richest owners in the NFL, so you know he can spend, he can make moves if he needs to. The Panthers feel like they have a lot of flexibility right now, and it just shows you the Panthers, they've got the makings of a well-run franchise, and it looks like they're turning a corner here, and underratedly so. They are one of the quiet stories here in the offseason that I believe they've gone up the most in my rankings this offseason. They've gained the most points and favor with me. I think they're going to be a well-run organization for years to come. And if they get the quarterback spot right, the one criticism we've really had of them this offseason is, oh my gosh, they lost the trade with the Bears. They gave up everything they had. If you end up getting the right guy, whoever that may be, whether it's C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, whoever the quarterback is, if he hits, it nullifies the losses they had on that trade haul. They have a formidable wide receiver one in Adam Thielen. They're going to have a nice backfield. They're going to have a formidable offensive line. And if they hit on the quarterback, they're going to have a good quarterback. And this is one of those things where it's kind of ironic because I'll be the first to tell you, it was just 2 weeks ago on this show that I talked good about the Saints, who are in the NFC South division, in their own division, and I thought the Saints would win the division. I said that at the time because Derek Carr is the best quarterback in that division, and that matters in 2023. The best quarterback almost always wins their division, and for Derek Carr to be there now, I thought, the Saints have this division on lock, but man, if the Panthers can pick the right guy at quarterback, and he doesn't have to be great this year, but if he shows signs of promise, those little slivers that we like to see in year one of competence, of ability to play the position at the highest level, the Panthers could be a great organization for years to come. But if nothing else, this morning, I think I can say with confidence the Carolina Panthers are a well-run organization, and that is something that they have not been in a long, long time. The biggest story of the NFL offseason in 2023 has come to a conclusion. Last week, Aaron Rodgers told Pat McAfee that he intends to play for the Jets in 2023. And since Tuesday, everyone has been breaking down what they think of Aaron Rodgers, what he said on the show, how he said it, how the Jets will look with him at the helm this upcoming year. And one of the bigger stories that Aaron brought up was the trade compensation, how the world, including myself, thought, hey, we're waiting on Aaron. It turns out Aaron is waiting on the franchises to figure out what the trade compensation looks like. So the big conversation for the last week, really the last couple of days, even into the weekend, has been, what does compensation look like for an almost 40-year-old quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, the 4-time MVP, 2 seasons ago, the back-to-back MVP winner. So what does that look like? And a lot of NFL GMs, let me start. The Packers are fighting for a first-round pick, is what it seems like. And the Jets are reluctant to give that up. And I understand the Jets' perspective 100%. I also understand the Packers wanting to get a first-round pick. But the compensation here matters. And I'm here to break it down for you. So many people are citing the two big veteran quarterback trades that we have seen in recent years. Russell Wilson to the Broncos and Matthew Stafford to the Rams. And I'm here to tell you, those deals are nothing like Aaron Rodgers' deal. Aaron Rodgers is not worth a first-round pick in 2023. Let's break it down. The trade package for getting Russell Wilson to the Broncos was 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, and 3 players. But Russell Wilson had talked about, forget his on-field performance, Russell Wilson had talked about wanting to play and being committed to playing for years to come. He had made that very public. He wanted to play into his 40s. He was taking great care of his body. It's well documented that he spends $1 million or $2 million per year on his health, on his rehab. You know, he's one of those guys that's committed to playing for a long time, and everyone knows it. Now, the Matthew Stafford trade. Matthew Stafford was traded to the Rams in exchange for 2 first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and Jared Goff. But here's the thing that people are purposely or conveniently forgetting about that trade. Jared Goff's contract was the reason that there were so many picks involved, because Jared Goff's contract was huge, and the Rams were looking to offload that. So they had to give up 2 first-round picks to do that. It's the question here that I want you guys to see. Matthew Stafford also was committed to playing long-term. He had decided, hey, I still want to play for a long time in the NFL, and I want to be successful. I'm not done yet. That's why this trade was made. Stafford knew he could not win with the Lions. He had been with them for years. The Lions knew that, unfortunately, they were not going to experience winning days at the highest level under Matthew Stafford. That's why this trade went through. So what I want you to see here, the big-time trades for veteran quarterbacks in recent years, the compensation is not as the result of their on-field play. The compensation is the result of the level of commitment these quarterbacks have to playing in the NFL. Stafford wanted to play for years to come. Russell Wilson told everyone, and everyone knew based on how much money and resources he was committing to his health, everyone knew he wanted to play for a long time as well. Aaron Rodgers has zero commitment to playing long-term. That's where the compensation matters. Aaron Rodgers last week on Pat McAfee admitted that he was 90% sure that he was going to retire prior to going into his darkness retreat. We've seen for 3 years in a row, Aaron Rodgers has threatened retirement if he doesn't get what he wants. Whether that's playing, being the starter in Green Bay, getting his big contract that reset the quarterback market, $50 million guaranteed, or $50 million per year. He's done that 3 years in a row where he's threatened, I'm going to walk. And Aaron Rodgers, speaking of commitment, not coming in during OTAs, being a no-show to OTAs in 2023 or in 2022, that matters. Aaron Rodgers, critical of young Packers wide receivers. That was just in August, after he had been a no-show at the Packers OTAs in May. The fact of the matter is, Aaron Rodgers' commitment to football has dwindled every single year for several years. It's on the decline. He has threatened retirement. He has publicly talked about retirement. He has kicked the can on retirement. And now the Packers are trying to justify that they want a first-round pick in exchange for Aaron Rodgers. Why? The big thing is not performance when you're trading these veteran quarterbacks in recent years. It is their level of commitment. How long are they going to play for the other team? Aaron Rodgers, we're sitting here questioning, well, he's going to play at least 1 year. Now, will he play beyond that? Will he play one more year? We're not talking about 4 or 5, or in the case of Russell Wilson, 7 more years. We're talking about 1 year and 2 years maybe? That does not warrant a first-round pick. The Jets should not have to give up a massive part of their future in exchange for a non-committal quarterback who has seen his best days on the field. This is ridiculous. Aaron Rodgers is not worth a first-round pick, and I hope the Jets can hold on to their first-round pick, because the Packers are out of their mind thinking that Aaron Rodgers in 2023 after the season he just had, by the way, which was not the best season in the world, not a great free agency contract offseason year. They're insane if they think that Aaron Rodgers is worth a first-round pick in this trade haul. Earlier in the show, I talked about how the Carolina Panthers were starting to become a well-run organization and how they were kind of growing on me. The same goes for the Lions. And I've been higher on the Lions than I have on the Panthers for the past couple months. But I really like the Lions. And over the weekend, they were involved in some more good headlines because they signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson to a 1-year, $8 million deal, 6.5 of that being guaranteed. And that's a great signing for the Lions. I mean, think about it. What did we love about the Lions this past season? Their offense, their explosiveness, their playmaking nature, their offensive play calling. What was their crutch? What did we hate? What was the bane of the Lions' existence this past season? It was their secondary, specifically the corner position. You are now signing one of the best corners in the NFL in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and you're not overpaying for him, and you got him on a 1-year deal, so you're not committed to him long-term, and that's important because the corner position, as good as they are, we see how quickly they age. They're like running backs. The athleticism, they get slow, and they lose that heat quickly. And so that's a good signing for the Lions, and you know, you tie that into the rest of what's going on within Detroit. Jared Goff has proven to be a very formidable quarterback. And I mean, his confidence and his stock was so low after being traded away by the Rams to the Lions. He's proven, hey, I can be a formidable quarterback. I can be a game manager for your team and maybe even a little bit more than that. He is better than the top. He's better than the 16th quarterback in the NFL on any given day. Playing in a dome without the elements, without any existential crisis is going on around him. I mean, he can be a good quarterback, and he showed that this year with some amazing explosive offensive playmakers with good offensive play calling. He's been great. I mean, this past season, he played all 17 games, did not suffer any injuries that kept him out or off the field. He had a passer rating of 99.3, over 4,400 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's not bad. Jared Goff, he's a quarterback. He can be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and he can win you games on Sunday. I like him a lot. They're coached by Dan Campbell, their head coach, who is a former NFL. He's a former tough guy. He played in the NFL. He really rallies the locker room around him. His energy is contagious. Guys love playing for him, and he's the head coach. He's in charge of keeping the locker room together, and he's shown you that he can do that, and he's done just that over the past couple seasons, in the highs and in the lows. And then I think my favorite storyline for the Lions, why I am the most excited for them this upcoming season, Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, who could have left to any head coaching vacancy this offseason because of how good he proved he is as an offensive play caller. And he decided, you know what, I'm going to come back to Detroit for another year at least. That is a massive, massive win for the Lions before the season even starts, before they even step onto the field for their first game. Ben Johnson proved to be an excellent offensive play caller, very creative, great schemes, knows how to get guys open, knows how to work with explosive offensive talent and get the ball, move the chains, score touchdowns, get first downs, convert on third down. All these important offensive components and elements that we talk about when we talk about offensive coaching and offensive coordinators. Ben Johnson has proven that he can do all of that. So very excited for the Lions going into 2023. I am definitely going to rank them in my Ben's best list, which, spoiler, that means they're going to be in my top 10 teams, most likely going into this next season. But, nonetheless, I know we're a ways away from next season. The Lions are a team to look out for. They are very exciting going into 2023. With that said, that is all for this week's episode of the Benjamin Cure Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, if you want to rewatch the episode, you want to rewatch some segments, feel free to do so. Please feel free to also visit us on social media at Ben Cure Show. The clips are all posted there. The rundowns of some of your favorite stories are available, and you can enjoy those over and over and over again. Until next time, I'm Benjamin Cure. This is the Benjamin Cure Show. See you next time.